Now, if you're flying between Shannon and the UK, there's an important change you need to know about. From the 25th of February, Aer Lingus passengers will need a passport or Irish passport card to travel on these routes, with new requirements also affecting some non-Irish and non-British nationals. To explain what all this means for travellers, I'm joined now on the line by the travel counsellor here in Ennis, Gearoid Mannion. Gearoid, good morning to you.
Morning, Alan.
Thanks very much for being with us. Look, you've deal with plenty of travellers in the county. What are you seeing any sort of reaction to this, or are people even aware of these new Ireland-UK travel rules that are coming into effect soon?
Now, are you talking about the passport one or the ETA one first?
Well, let's deal with the passport one first.
Yeah, it's basically it's Aer Lingus catching up with reality and catching up with Ryanair. Ryanair, for many years now, have only accepted passports and never, haven't accepted driver's licenses or any other, photo ID for their flights to and from the UK. So Aer Lingus are really just catching up with that now. As we know, security is paramount at all airports, and it is much easier to, monitor security and monitor travel of passengers when you do it with a passport, which can be scanned and the data on it stored and saved, rather than with driver's licenses of various different types, which don't have the same data capacity as passports have, and that's really where this is coming from.
Okay, so can you just explain in simple terms what the changes in regard to passports, and then also with the ETA?
Yeah, keep them separate, because to conflate them confuses the issue.
Yeah.
Basically, Aer Lingus will no longer accept Irish driver's licenses for people travelling between Ireland and the UK. They did up until recently, but no longer. Passports only on Aer Lingus.
Okay, so no other form of photo ID, including EU national ID cards, will be accepted on those routes? Correct. Okay, and in terms of the ETA then, for non-Irish, non-British nationals living here, are there any extra steps they might need to take before travelling?
So I suppose the thing to watch here is that it is basically, it doesn't apply to Irish nationals, it doesn't apply to UK nationals, it doesn't apply to EU nationals, Belgians, Germans, French, etc. It applies to everybody else. So your Canadians, your Americans, and anybody else from around the world who will be entering the UK from now on have to do an online ETA. It's like the ESTA that we have to do for the United States. Many other countries have brought them in various different formats. Some of them charge, some of them don't. New Zealand has them, Australia has them, and now the UK are bringing them in for everybody except UK, Irish and European.
People listening, Gearoid, might be saying, well, maybe these changes are more of a help to the airline than they are to the passengers, or just extra headaches or potential extra issues for them.
There's no doubt it is an extra headache, yeah, and there is a small charge on the UK one. Not all countries make a charge. The Australian one, for example, there is no charge. The US ESTA that many people will be familiar with recently went from $21 to $40. So there are various different charges, and some of them are more complicated than others. I suppose the good thing about the whole visa movement in the past number of years is that in the old days, you had to get an application form and very often go to an embassy in Dublin to get a visa, and now you can just do it all online. So there is an improvement in that regard.
From a travel counsellor's point of view, I mean, what are the biggest mistakes people make when new rules like this come in?
Well, just not being aware of the fact that you have to get an e-visa for so many different countries now. Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, Vietnam, India. They're, more and more becoming more and more popular. On the one hand, you might say that it's just a way of these countries, collecting another tax. But in reality, it's all to do with security and monitoring of passengers and collecting the data of passengers who travel to and fro.
There may be people listening who have flights booked from Aer Lingus, from Shannon to the UK for after the 25th of February, who may be saying, I didn't know about this. Do you think these changes have been well flagged up or well advertised? Have you seen much of it around?
Within the travel industry, it has been well flagged, all right, but I don't see it, being highlighted in the media yet, but it probably will, shall we say, at the last minute. I suppose the good news is that these days you can get a passport very quickly online. Again, it can be done online. The process is much quicker and more streamlined now than it used to be, so that is a help, all right. But I suppose, you're highlighting it today, and I'm sure it'll be highlighted far and wide in the run-up to the deadline day.
How far in advance should people be checking their passports or applying for an ETA? I mean, we know the passports come quick enough, I guess, but the ETAs, does that take longer to sort?
No, not at all. It's not instant, but it is very quick. So, that side of it is not an issue at all. And just going back to the passports again, renewals are very quick within days. But if you're applying for a new passport, if you have never had one, or indeed if you're applying for a child for the first time, those ones take more time. So you have to be careful with that one.
Okay, so families who are planning to travel, children or infants, make sure you're well across that and get there.
Yes, indeed. And, just generally, I suppose it's common sense advice that anyone who's planning a trip, whenever it might be or wherever it might be, to check the expiry date on your passport, because you could be planning a trip right now for whatever, September, October, which seems a long way away, but you might, find in due course that your passport is expiring in September or something like that. There is also the issue of some countries in the world that require you to have 6 months validity on your passport beyond your travel date. Now, it doesn't apply to many countries. I won't start naming them, but some people still believe that the United States has that requirement, whereas it does not anymore. It did have many years ago, but it doesn't anymore. But some countries do require that you have 6 months validity on your passport beyond your travel date.
And for people listening who may think, well, if I happen to turn up at Shannon and I'm flying to London and I don't have correct documents, that there might be a bit of leeway. Maybe I can use my, if I put on a sad enough face, they let me use my driver's license. But have you bad news to them? There's no wriggle room in this at all?
Bad news for them in that regard. With regard to the passports, there won't be much leniency on that. With regard to the ETA, it may be that you can do an online ETA application there and then at the airport and get it processed quickly enough. I'm not sure if that's a good idea to rely on that, but that may be possible, especially in the early days, because there's no doubt that there will be some people that will get caught with this. I'm just not sure what way the airline authorities or the airport authorities will handle it, or indeed if an instant application will work. But it may do, but I think it's just best for people to be aware well in advance and get their arrangements sorted out well in advance. Yeah,
look, we're flagging it up here now, and check out Aer Lingus' website for more details on it as well, so you're fully across it. And Gearoid, we appreciate you taking us through what people need to be mindful of. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Alan. Bye.
That's Gearoid Mannion, the travel counsellor in Ennis, making us aware of those changes in regards to passports and ETA for flights from Aer Lingus flights from Shannon to the UK and from other Irish airports as well.